Well, it is a beautiful day, and it's a little cloudy, a little overcast here, but I've got a few breaking the clouds, so I might get a little sun during this video. We'll see. It is July 14th. It's around 11 a.m., and it's 70 degrees. I'm in zone 6B, and this is just my little small garden here at the river. And just to let you know, this is 64 square feet. I have 4 beds that are 6 feet long and 2 beds that are 4 feet long, and they are all 2 feet deep. So for my new subscribers, I'll leave a link to when I built this little garden. I visit it once a month during the growing seasons. However, this July I've been out here twice, and I plan to come out here again late this month. So I'll get to tend to it a little bit more than I normally do. So I only feed it once a month and water it once a month. And the soil is so rich that it retains a lot of moisture when it rains, and that's great for me since I'm not here to water the plants. So anyway, I've not really given a tour of the garden to show you guys what is growing. However, you may remember my last 2 or 3 harvests, and I'll leave links to those too if you'd like to check out what I've harvested from this garden this growing season. So what I want to do is just walk through here and explain a few things about it, the garden. This is the kale, the dinosaur kale, and I guess it was in March, April, May. I wasn't really here enough to treat my kale for worms, for the cabbage moths. You know, they lay their eggs on the kale, and then those worms eat holes in your leaves. So you can see down here the older growth has a lot of damage. But since I've been here visiting June, I sprayed it pretty good with BT, and then early in July I sprayed it again with BT. And you can see the new growth is looking much better. Okay, so that's how I treat all of my greens that the moths tend to eat, which is mostly kale for me. Now these are Groma green beans, and these are the bush variety, and I planted these on Father's Day because this was a green bean that my father loved to grow. It's an Italian green bean, and they're flat and full of flavor, and so that was planted in honor and memory of my father, who grew the same bean. And just so you know, whenever I visit here, you'll see that I harvest a lot of things. I think I had spinach planted here before. So I pulled all that out, and in went green bean seeds, and that's known as succession planting. You can succession plant the same crop or different crops. A lot of times I'll succession plant carrots and beans. I'll pull some out, put some more in, but when the seasons are transitioning, I will tend to start planting warm season crops in place of my cool season crops. Now there are some chives right there, and they're doing really well in this little garden. So I use those a lot while I'm here. Nasturtiums are just been blooming a lot. I've been using some of those blooms. I have some beets here, so I'm just going to leave those in there, see how they do. Back here is summer savory and Brussels sprouts. These have been in here since March. So they're hanging in there. I don't know if I'm going to get any Brussels sprouts out of those. I don't want to pull it out yet. Back there is a cucumber. It's kind of getting shaded from the Brussels sprouts, but we'll see how it does. Right here is some cilantro, and every time I visit here, I plant cilantro. Especially when the seasons get warmer and warmer, that cilantro will bolt quicker. So I make sure I always plant cilantro when I visit. More of the Roma green beans. And I think I planted some beets here last time I was here, which was around July 4th, and they're not up here yet. I don't know that they will germinate. We'll see. Back there is something called a cherry rose nasturtium, and I just moved it last night, so it's looking a little droopy right now, but it was planted right here next to this other cherry rose nasturtium, and this is an heirloom nasturtium. You know, those are your little edible flowers, and it's supposed to be a really pretty color, like a rosy pink. So I'm looking forward to growing that. Hopefully I'll get a bloom or 2 off of them. So it's going through a little bit of a transplant shock, but one of the things I also really like about the soil is that you can move your plants around a lot of times, and they do very well. So you know, since I won't be here, I'm actually leaving today. I won't be able to water that, but I'm hoping that it'll root down okay while I'm gone. We'll just have to see. If not, I still have this one here, and I'm not going to touch it because it's like in its little spot there. And then here's some Italian parsley, and there's about 3 plants in there. They're really planted too close together. I could thin them out a little bit more if I wanted to, but I don't think I am. I think I'll just leave them like that. This is something called a Kalette, and it's really pretty. It's a cross between kale and Brussels sprouts. So look how pretty it is. It's purple and green, and then it looks like it's trying to form some little Brussels sprouts in there. And they're supposed to have more of a kale flavor, so I'm looking forward to that. I hope I get some of those this year. I've tried planting them in 3 different gardens, and they didn't make it at my home garden, but they seem to be doing pretty well out here. And then some more green beans down here. These are called jade bush beans, and I planted these in, I think it was late May. So I've been picking a lot of these actually already and using them in curry. And then this is the sweet pea currant tomato. Little tiny tomatoes. They are so tiny. I can't wait for them to ripen up so I can give them a little taste. I'll just show you how tiny they are here on my hand. Really tiny there. And so they're growing. I'm trying to work them up through this fence here so that they don't just take over the whole bed. So they seem like being worked up through that fence there. And then again, some more kale. I'm going to harvest some of this today. The older growth shows the damage, but the newer growth is looking pretty good. And I just have some golden variegated sage. This right here was an herb that I bought at, I think it was Trader Joe's. And so it's rosemary, and it looks like there's some Greek oregano down there too. And then, I forgot what this is, but this came in a mesclun mix salad blend that I had, and I harvested all the other lettuces, but I left this one because it seemed to like the hotter temperature, so I'm just going to let that grow. More carrots. I'll probably take some of these today, and I'll plant some more right behind it. I used some, while I've been here visiting, I used some in some curry. More kale. I'll harvest that today. And spinach, I'll harvest some of this today. I also planted out some more spinach, which is germinating, and it's coming up. Some of it's coming up. I grew a lot of this last year in the summer. It's that Teton variety. It's called Teton. So it tolerated the warmer temperatures, but again, it doesn't get too hot here. I mean, it was like 90 degrees a lot last week, but it's been okay so far. More cilantro right here that I'll take some of that with me today. And then there's some more cilantro here that's coming up. Remember, I told you every time I come out here I plant some more cilantro. And then there's this entire bed right here is jade bush beans. So I'm going to pick some of those today and take those with me. So I'll just walk through here and do a quick harvest and show you guys what I come up with. And then there are my sunflowers. They're probably about, oh gosh, 7 feet high now. The tallest one's probably about 7 feet, maybe 8 feet tall. So they are really growing. Okay, so let me go ahead and get some of these. I'm also going to take probably some of this dill with me. It's looking really nice over here. Okay, so I'll start over here. These are the jade bush beans. And I'm taking the big ones and the little ones just to keep them producing, because by the time I get back they'll be much too big for me. So I want to go ahead and get all the ones that I can. Here's a few right here. And it is important to wear gloves even when we're harvesting. I mean, I know it's kind of a pain, but if you're reaching in areas you're not sure what's down there, you can't see, especially if you're growing in a small space. You don't want to stick your hand in a spider web or something like that and get a little bite on you. So sometimes it's good to wear protective clothing whenever you're working in your garden. I know around here we have a lot of rattlesnakes, so I also tend to wear gardening boots. You just don't want to step on a rattlesnake. I mean, they could probably bite through my little rubber boot, but at least it'd be something. Okay, there's my harvest of green beans. I have been harvesting off of these plants this week, making curry and that kind of thing while I've been here. So I got the big ones off. I think I'll have a really nice harvest when I return in a couple of weeks, because there's a lot of small ones on there. If we get some rain, I know I'm going to have a nice harvest. Okay, so now I want to get some of the spinach back here. Okay, so there is the spinach. I have some left there. We'll see how it does. It might start to bolt here on me soon. So anyways, let's go ahead and get some of this kale now. And back here is a really damaged piece. Let's see. I'll show you. That one is going in the compost pile. This one looks like it might be really nice. This is a nice looking piece of kale here. Really long, very big. I don't know if I can show you, but it's almost my arm's length. So we'll put that down here. This, there's a little bit of damage on there, but I think it'll be okay. This one doesn't look too good. It's got a lot of spotting in the middle. It's turned hard and leathery, so this one will go in the compost. That's a beautiful piece there, nice and soft. Compost. Remember, these are the ones, the older growth, got a lot of worm damage. And I'll leave the rest on there. Now I want to show you too, I'm going to go ahead and get some off the other plants. This is my bottle of BT out here. I need to bring some more out here actually. And I'll go ahead and spray. Okay, so I just lightly mist it. We aren't going to get any rain here for the next few days, I don't think. And underneath the leaves, especially the new growth. The worms always like the new growth. And it'll dry on here. When the worm emerges, it'll feed off the leaf, and the bacteria will kill the worm. It will destroy the digestive tract of the worm. And it's approved for organic gardening. So, wonderful way to control worms. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my kale throughout the garden. Okay, here's the kale harvest. Looks pretty good. I ended up pulling off a lot of kale damaged leaves. So I'm going to take these home and I'll put them in my composter. I'll leave a link for you if you'd like to see how I compost things and what I use. Now I'll show you one more thing too. For instance, this plant has some damaged leaves on it. I don't want to take off all of the leaves because then the plant won't be able to grow. So I do leave some on here, but it's always important to check up underneath your leaves to make sure there's no little cluster of eggs so that you will know that an insect has not laid eggs on here. You don't want to leave those kind of leaves on here. So just do an inspection if you decide to leave damaged leaves on your plant, because I'm hoping with a little bit of spray on my new growth that next time I will have some nice kale to harvest again, because every time I come out here I've been harvesting kale, so that's always a fun thing. Okay, here we go. So now I want to see if I have some carrots over here. Let's see what we have back here. There's a nice one. There's one. A yellow one. There's a nice one. Okay. Okay, so I just harvested those carrots, and then over here I planted some more. I think these were in June. So they're germinating nicely. They're coming up great, and I will go ahead and plant some more carrots back over here where I just pulled those out. Usually it's better to rotate your crops, but I found that carrots seem to do fine if I replant them one behind another, succession plant the same crop in the same area. Okay, so there are my carrots. Now I'm going to get some herbs. So I actually clipped off this plant a little bit the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull the whole thing out. I want to use the roots. I'm going to make some more curry paste this week. I'm going to take this one also. Here we go. I'll take some of this summer savory with me. I always like to put my herbs right away into water to keep them fresh. Okay, I'm going to get some of the chives also. Now this dill will wilt over very quickly, but it'll be fine tomorrow. It just takes, it does not look like to be cut and put in water. So, but I'll go ahead and add it to my little jar of herbs. Okay, here's the final harvest. I'm real happy with it, and again, I just want to reiterate that this is just a very small garden, one that I don't get to tend to because I don't live here. And if you would like to see more about square foot gardening, I will leave a link to a playlist where I had a garden in zone 8B with an irrigation system. And that garden was just lovely, and I just love the square foot gardening method. It's so easy. It is just a wonderful way to grow your herbs, your vegetables, and with very little work. So anyway, there you have it. Thanks so much for watching, and have a beautiful day.